Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Michelle's vlog, and we started the week off with a max effort bench press, wider grip against bands, and she's very happy when she gets up. She's a smile because she knows we're in PR territory. That's 145 on the bar plus 30 pounds of bands. We've got her shoulders healthy enough after years and years of only being able to close grip bench. You know, in 6 months' time, I basically have her shoulders healthy enough to wide grip bench pain-free, for which she's been very happy about. All right, I have her run with a floor press right now as her first accessory exercise, and the reason is she sticks kind of in the middle of the bench. This builds the pecs in a way that carry over there. It's very easy on the shoulders, very low on the overuse on the shoulder joint. So I tend to really like it for people with a history of shoulder issues, which is, of course, her at this point. All right, notice the JM presses, how much weight she is using right now. I love combining the floor press and the JM press, by the way. I think it's a great combination for really getting people's max bench up as far as accessory movements go, as in for supplemental lifts, but her triceps are still crazy strong from all those years of closed grip benching, and we've just continued to make them stronger. And even though she's wider gripping and pecs tend to limit her a little more, that doesn't mean that we stop training the triceps hard, because you will never see a situation to where your triceps will not improve your bench. In other words, there is no downside to having bigger and stronger triceps, other than maybe you've beat your elbows and your tendons up with too much tricep work. But in her case, we don't ever stop doing it. And you guys will notice that with all my lifters. Almost all of my lifters do tricep work, even if their pecs or their delts are limiting their bench press. Although I do get lifters who their triceps are the limit, and I've put 30 or 40 pounds on people's benches before just by hammering their triceps. All right, then of course she does chin-ups. We do inverted rows so that we work, again, her upper and middle back from a couple different angles. So for her, I like to combine, some sort of chin up and pull up in some sort of row. Again, trying to maximize development there. I know people say, how come you don't do that more for yourself? I'm like, because I don't always train myself the way I train clients. Then of course we do lateral raises and a little bit of band press downs. I don't have her do many because now we have the JM presses as the primary movement. So we're not as concerned with that, right? We just want to keep her tendons healthy. All right, and then we have deadlifts. All right, we got 300 on a deficit. All right, that puts us in a very good place. Notice it's nice and smooth, a little slow off the floor, but that's what we would expect. But she's got strong quads, so she tends to break it off the floor well. And that also kind of highlights where we're at in terms of weaknesses. We know that primarily hamstrings need to come up the most, and then glutes second, as far as bringing up her deadlift. And it doesn't mean she doesn't have strong glutes and hamstrings. You just watched her deficit deadlift 300 pounds. But in this case, I have an athlete like this who her goal is to be elite. Her goal is not to just, hey, have a nice booty and nice legs. It's not to just be, hey, pretty dang strong. All right, she wants to be competitive at nationals. All right, in that case, we have to have elite lifter level glutes and hamstrings, and we're not there yet. And that's why we're putting in this much work. That's why we're putting in all this work, because we need to see that happen if she wants to reach her goals, and she's going to reach her goals. Then, of course, we have the goblet squats up next. This is really our primary quad exercise, this and sled drags. We spend all the rest of the time focusing on posterior chain, but when you realize how strong she is on these, it's obvious why that is. I mean, goblet squats, I have guys who can't do the weight she does on this. I have male lifters who they see her doing 95 pounds here, and actually she does 100 on the set we do next later in the vlog. All right, her quads are strong. They're not limiting her in any way. So really, we only do a small amount of work for them. We're like, oh, we do a little bit of work, and the work she does is very impressive. After that, everything is just posterior chain. We have good mornings, we have glute ham raises, we have reverse hypers. And we push all of them for progression, right? We are trying to increase the weight as often as we can, and she still hit the target reps. Like, that is our goal every single time. When we're doing all these 10 rep sets, if I'm like, you get to that last set, if you feel like you could have done another rep or two, It's time to add weight on any one of these. Doesn't matter which of the three it is, you increase that weight. She's now adding weight on the glute ham raises. The reverse hypers, I think she's got like 190 on it here. She puts 200 on the very last set that we do later this week. All right, we are pushing progression hard. All right, speed bench. This is her first time using bands on speed bench. Totally different beast. Took her a minute to get them set up. And as I explained to her, they're going to hit your pecs a lot harder. You know, people see the bands and they think, oh, it's going to work triceps because it's accommodating resistance. Except they're not factoring in that overspeed eccentric. They're not factoring in that stretch reflex that the bands create at the bottom. For me personally, my pecs get lit up just as much. I get as massive of a pump in my pecs from speed benching against bands, particularly on a grip that's close to the rings, more so than I do on probably anything else I do, even more so than dumbbells. I think the only thing that competes for me is like a low incline. They're about in the same category. But it's a different feel. You know, they're a totally different beast. All right, then we have the JM presses. All right, now we're getting pretty heavy. Notice she's struggling just a little bit to maintain that form with this weight increase. Because again, I always have her push progression on this stuff, but there can also come a point where we say, okay, that's enough. Stop pushing progression. Let's clean the form up with this weight. Because the last workout, look how much cleaner they were. And it's just a case of when you're progressing hard, that will tend to happen when you're chasing progression. But I always try to remind, you know, my lifters that even though we may be pushing to get stronger all the time, we need it to be as clean as possible, right? We really need that. All right, back exercise is pretty straightforward. Chin-ups, inverted rows. Again, two very, very different angles. We start with the easier movement, the chin-ups, and then we go, the more difficult movement, and then we finish with the inverted rows, which are, easier. Most people can get more reps, but after 3 sets of chins, she's obviously more fatigued. But between these two movements, again, we get a lot of varied stimulus for the lats, the traps, different parts of the traps, posterior delt, rhomboids, biceps grip. All right, very, very different movements. All right, front raises. You guys know how I feel about these. I'm a big fan for lifters who are very weak off the chest. However, if you are weak off the chest, this is a phenomenal exercise. It will help you for people who fail the first few inches off the chest. Why? Potentially front delt weakness. Okay? It's a front delt weakness, possibly an upper back weakness. We get a good combination of those on this movement. In her case, because she can't do incline benching, this is great for her front delts, great for the upper chest. Again, not as good as the incline for the upper chest, but it still works it. All right, and then we have speed boxes against bands. All right, this is where I'm testing her hamstrings further. She's never speed boxed against bands. She has to fight against that eccentric, and I want you to look closely and notice something. All right, guys, I'm just going to finish up the audio. You guys have seen all these points before we're going to cover with the dynamic effort day. This video has crashed while trying to record audio, has crashed over 25 times. I have lost over half an hour of audio, and so I've been trying to save this every minute, and it's just getting so tedious. You guys know these points. Let's just watch the rest of the training, finish up dynamic effort day. So I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.